$1,300 for a chair.
That doesn't make sense.
Wow, what did I do? What did I buy?
Bless these pants.
That cost how much?
Hi everyone, my name's Kelsey.
And my name is Becky.
And we are the Sorry Girls, and welcome back to another video. Today we are diving in to some That Cost How Much. This is a video series we haven't done for a little minute now, but it's something that we really love doing. It's challenging and also very rewarding to make things for less money.
Yes, we try and replicate items, things that the original piece makes us say, that cost how much? Let's make it for cheaper. So today we're gonna try also to throw in some fashion DIYs in the mix as well.
And the inspiration from this video is really just things that we wanted. Right, Becky?
Yeah, there's not really like a running theme. It's just like, these things are cool, let's like test our DIY skills to make them.
And with that fashion element, you guys know that we don't do fashion without thrifting, which is why we're so excited that today's video is sponsored by ThredUp. We are still in lockdown here, so it's great to be able to shop secondhand online.
We placed our orders on ThredUp a couple weeks ago and the boxes just arrived, so I'm very excited to crack mine open and get started on these DIYs. It
legitimately is such an exciting day when the package arrives. I'm like, more wardrobe. I may have already cracked it open, and that's where this shirt's from.
I did.
ThredUp isn't your regular thrift store. You're able to thrift your favorite women's and kids brands for up to 90% off estimated retail price. These are brands like Free People and Levi's and Zara or whatever you want to search for, because it's really easy to search their whole database.
They have over 40,000 different brands with new arrivals being added every day, so there is literally something for everybody. And of course, we have a code for you to save you some money, but stay tuned because more on that later. All right, Kelsey, you want to take it away with your first DIY project?
Yes, I'm so excited for this DIY. It's something that I've wanted for a long time, so let's go. Okay, so this DIY is actually inspired by a lot of the outdoor exterior makeovers that we have coming up, and it is this Williams Sonoma. Now this is the Havana Fireball that retails for $3,895 is the cheapest configuration that you can make. Now I will say that this is a 38-inch bowl. Mine's not gonna be that big, and theirs is a natural gas / propane hookup when mine will not be. Not to mention, this is not even available in Canada, so I could not buy it even if I wanted to. So since my bowl is about a third of the size, let's compare it to a third of the cost, which is $1,298. Think I can make it for less than that? I don't know. So for this DIY, I'm going to be doing a concrete like bowl mold situation. I'm excited. I think it'll be pretty easy overall. These bowls are the most expensive part of this DIY, coming in at $33-ish. I know that's a lot to pay for some plastic bowls, but the thrift store was not open and I needed these in a couple of days. So this was my option, but also it's like literally the perfect size, and it comes with the little inserted one. So this is everything we needed. Although I will say, what we really needed was a proper Roy G. Biv. What is this? Make it Roy G. Biv or don't. So I'm going to be using the two larger sizes for this bowl, and you can see what's going to happen here. Now I'm going to mix up my quick rate. This is only $3.50, and this should definitely do me for this whole bowl. Back in the day, I tried to do the proper ratio for concrete and water, but now I just make a peanut butter consistency. I started by spreading up the sides of the bowl, and when I had enough coverage, I added my bowl insert and started filling around the edges. So you can see here that the inner bowl kind of wants to float and doesn't want to stay settled. To solve this, I clamped a spare 2x4 to my table, and that bridged the top of the bowls in order to keep everything inset. I'm not gonna lie, it's the next day and I'm wearing the same thing.
You are an outfit repeater.
This concrete took all night to dry, so we're gonna pretend it's the same day. There's apparently different kinds of quickcrete. Some is 15 minutes, some is not. But I have my completely hardened bowl here, and now I just have to remove it. I'm thinking I can remove it without breaking anything. Okay, hold on. Oh my God, no. I think we just need some tools. Look at that, that's ready to go again. I just needed to loosen the outside of the bowls in order for it to slide out. Hey! trying and slamming, I got out the bowl. It's so good and it's so smooth on the outside, which is kind of a vibe. I'm actually just gonna do a sanding down of the top because it's a little uneven right now. I'd rather it just be like all evenly sanded and not shiny versus half and half. And then we can move on to the next step. Since this is gonna be outside and it might rain, I'm going to add some drainage holes using a masonry drill bit just so that the water has somewhere to escape. So with my bowl done, it's time to figure out our insides, including the fuel. So for the fuel, I'm going to be using a gel burner. These are kind of the burners that you would have if you were getting catering or, you know, an outdoor fire like this. I'm using an ethanol alcohol, so this is clean burning. It is one of the more sustainable options in my research. If you guys know anything about fire fuel and the most sustainable way to go, please let me know in the comments down below. But I found that this seemed to be a pretty good option. And this fuel is only $5 to buy and it's gonna last a couple of hours, so an evening's worth of enjoyment. This can just goes straight into here like so. Obviously the fuel can just sitting in the bowl is not the cutest. This is not the aesthetic we're going for. So I have some wire mesh here. This was $9.80. Obviously I get this huge roll, but all I'm gonna need is a little piece this-ish size. And to cut this stuff, you need aviation snips, which, fun fact, these are actually my grandpa's that I took from him. And these are, he was an aviator. He fixed planes, so these are aviation snips from an aviator. Does that make sense? So my plan here is to cut out the wire mesh the same size as the bowl and then cut little slits in order to kind of like fold it in. So I'm kind of making like a dome that goes over top. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I have my little wire mesh. I know it looks kind of sketchy, but you're not gonna see this, but you do need to take this in and out when replacing the fuel. And then next up, I'm going to just add in my lava rock. So this is rock that's like basically okay to be heated. Some rocks might explode. So this was only $6.60 and this is maybe a quarter of what was in the bag. So this lava rock can actually just go sit on the wire mesh. That's kind of the main reason why we put it here. And then you can just go ahead and light it and your fire bowl is complete. Since this only lasts a couple of hours, you're gonna wanna let it burn out ideally so that everything can cool before you can take out the lava rocks and the wire mesh and replace the fuel. So in total, with all of the materials added up, this bowl cost me only $57.90. And honestly, so much of that goes towards the plastic bowls. So if I was able to thrift them or if I already had them, that would drastically bring down the cost. And again, the original was $3,895. And I know it's a mini version, but I still get the aesthetic without breaking the bank.
Okay, so my first fashion that cost how much is this sweater. It's a cropped rib sweater. I've seen this like extreme cropped style a lot recently, and I actually think it's quite practical. I know my first thought is like, that's not practical at all, but in the summer, sometimes your arms get a little chilly and at night, and you just want to be warm without bulking up with a giant sweater. So I really actually want a piece like this in my wardrobe. So I'm gonna try and make it. Now, the reason it's that costs how much is because I found this sweater on the Whole Renfrew website. It is by Alexander McQueen, and it is listed for $985. That's almost $1,000 for not even half a sweater, like a third of a sweater. It's a little pricey for me. So I think I can DIY myself something like this. I'm fairly confident I can do it. So I wanted to pull a reference photo of someone actually wearing this in real life so I could try and like dupe the entire look. So I found this photo of Ruby Rose wearing this cropped sweater with this like gray suit look. It's so chic. I'm obsessed with it. So not only am I gonna try and DIY the sweater, I'm gonna try and pull something together that looks like this look as well. So to do this, I obviously went to ThredUp and got all the pieces that I need. So I've got my ThredUp box here ready to haul some items for you, so let's do it. Okay, so first up is the sweater that I'm actually gonna use to make my cropped sweater out of. I got this one, it's from ASOS, estimated to retail for $48, and I got it on ThredUp for $17.99. It's literally new, it still has the tags on it. So now to build the suit that she's wearing, I tried my best to find two pieces that I think match pretty well, so we're gonna go with this. I got, for the top, this gray tank top from the brand Solomeo, and this is estimated to retail for $12, and I got it on ThredUp for only $6.99. And lastly for the pants, this was my biggest steal of the day. I got these light gray suit pants. They are from the brand le suit separates. I'm sure that's meant to be said with a really nice French accent, but I'm not gonna attempt that for you today. But these were estimated to retail for $119, and I got them for only $14.99, and they look to be in perfect condition, so that is a serious win for me. Okay, I'm gonna obviously assemble the outfit for you later, but first up, we have to DIY that cropped sweater. So the original sweater looks like it kind of is higher in the front and lower in the back. So my first step is actually putting on the sweater and just using some sewing pins to mark out where I want the sweater to hit on me. So it looks like the band on the original sweater is about 1 inch thick. So what I'm gonna do is take a ruler and mark 1.5 inches down from where I first marked how cropped I want the sweater to be. I'm adding in that extra 1/2 inch because I'm gonna be doing a rolling hem, meaning I have to fold it almost twice. So I'm giving myself some extra fabric. Once I have where I wanna cut all marked out in pins, I'm just taking some fabric scissors and cutting it. And once that's done, it's time to fold the sweater inside out because I'm gonna be pinning it how I want to hem it, essentially. Okay, onto that rolling hem. So I'm doing my first fold, that's the whole 1.5 inches up. And then with the extra 1/2 inch, I'm tucking that again on the inside. And that's gonna get sewn in there so that there's no raw edges showing and it's not gonna unravel over time. Repeat that rolling hem and pinning until you've gone all the way around the sweater. All right, it's looking something like this. It's still inside out. You can see my pins go all the way around. And honestly, it's looking pretty good. This is getting me excited. It's starting to look like the actual thing. So now on to sewing. I am just taking my sewing machine and some white thread that matches and just sewing along everywhere that I pinned, making sure that my rolled hem is nicely secured in there. One little tip to keep in mind that because this sweater is stretchy, you want to kind of pull at the sweater a little bit as you're sewing so that once it's done, your sweater still retains that stretch instead of being sewed into like a constricted shape, especially if you need the stretch to get the sweater on. Okay guys, sweater is done, which means all the DIYing I had to do for this is finished, and I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. I think it's very cute. It gives me like ballet studio vibes, even though I never did ballet. But anyways, that means it's time to pull the rest of this outfit together with my other thread up pieces, and I know I'm not Ruby Rose, but I'm gonna give it my bestest attempt, so drop me a like for the effort, please guys. Let's see how this whole thing came together. And in true, that cost how much? Fashion. Let's do a little bit of comparison. So the inspo sweater retailed for $985, guys. And all I needed to make this happen was one sweater, which I got for $17.99. So that is a savings of a lot of money. I think this outfit really came together, and of course, all with the help of ThredUp. So if you would like to check them out, please click the link in our description to get 30% off your first order with our code TheSorryGirls. All right, Kelsey, take it away with the next one.
Okay, so for my fashion DIY, as soon as I saw Kelly Wersler, who is an interior designer, wearing these jeans, I knew that I wanted to make something like those because I have had these jeans in my closet for a little while now, and I've always kind of felt like I wanted to like cut slits in the knees or like do something to them to just make them, you know, a little cooler and edgier. And yeah, when I saw these jeans, I was like, this is what these jeans were made for. They're ready. But these jeans are by the designer Maison Margiela, which retail for $695. So obviously this is a really good project to try to DIY, but I do understand why they cost so much because these are obviously like handmade holes. So let's just get to it. Like any good DIYer, I practiced on an old pair of denim because I didn't want to ruin these pair of jeans. My first step is going to be marking out with a pencil where I want all of my squares to go. And then obviously around the upper sensitive areas, I'm just making sure to stay, you know, a little bit further away from the crotch area as well as the butt area, but I really do want to make them look like the originals, and the originals have little square holes basically everywhere. When drawing on these squares, I thought about using some kind of stencil or like measurements, but I really just think that the inspo photo is kind of organic. Everything isn't perfect, so I just kind of made sure that my squares were roughly the same size, and you can even use your finger to make sure they're evenly spaced. So I have my whole paint leg marked out here, just the front side, but I'm gonna get to cutting, and I will say that it's probably better to, you know, cut less squares around the sensitive areas because you can always add more, but you obviously can't take them away. Now to cut out these squares, I'm just going to be using some good sharp fabric scissors, just kind of cutting into the middle and then obviously cutting out the 4 sides. I found this to be the easiest and quickest way. So I've done all of the fronts. I have lots of jean that can be potential pillow filler one day maybe. But I need to do the back, and then the next step is to actually get them all nice and wet and then put them in the dryer in order to get the frayed edges. Okay, so this is what they look like once they're out of the dryer. This is them. These are some holy pants. Bless these pants. All right, so now we just need to tie everything together. So this is where ThreadUp comes in. I obviously wanted to recreate Kelly Wearstler's outfit, so I ended up picking up, honestly, a lot of things. But for the outfit, I got this tee. It is Wild Fable, originally estimated to be $15. I got it for $10.99, and I mean, thrifting a white tee is just, you know, it's not easy out there in the real world. And then this over kind of coat vest moment, it is a really nice material. It's by Intermix, and it's originally estimated to be $357, and I got it for $60.99. And I think this is just a staple piece that kind of can go from season to season, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. Okay, let's put this all together. So these designer jeans retail for $695, but I was able to DIY them for free because I didn't even buy these jeans. I got them as a hand-me-down, but even if you thrifted them, we're talking $20 and a couple of hours.
Okay, our last item for that cost how much is going to be our attempt at this chair from CB2. It is a wood chair with a giant shearling cushion, and this retails for like $1,200. Is that right? $1,300. $1,300 for a chair. And this DIY project comes with a little bit of story. So I actually picked up this chair here. Editors, roll those clips. Off of Marketplace not that long ago. It only cost me $15, and the shape of it was just so interesting. I couldn't let it go for that price, and I thought, you know, I'll think of a project for it eventually. And as I was looking at it, I realized it kind of reminds me of this other chair that I've had on my Pinterest board for so long, the CB2 chair. I've been obsessed with that chair, but obviously for a price like that, I had no intention of buying it. So I thought today we could try and do our best attempt at turning this chair that I have into something that's like in the style of the CB2 chair. So while I realize it's not gonna be exactly the same, it's gonna be my best effort of turning what I have into something that feels like the same vibe as the CB2 one. So hopefully you're ready for a little bit of an upcycle journey with me, because I think this one will be fun. So I haven't fully figured out exactly how I want to do the seat yet for this chair, so we're gonna deal with that second. But first up, we're gonna paint. The CB2 chair actually is a really dark wood, and the chair I have is like a shiny black metal. So my first step is gonna be removing this seat off of this chair so I can work with just the frame. Then I'm gonna take some sandpaper and sand it down a little bit to get rid of that shine. And then as far as paint, there are two products I'm gonna use. First up, I have this, which is just a primer, and it's already black. I figured a black primer would be better than a white primer because I'm going to be covering it with a dark color second. I'm spraying the whole thing and letting it dry completely. And then next up, I found this spray paint, and it's from the camo collection. I think you're supposed to buy like a bunch of different colors to make a camo print, but this was the actual closest thing I could find to a matte brown spray paint. So I think this is gonna work great. So I'm gonna put this on next after the primer, and the hope is that it will dry to a really nice dark matte brown color. I was worried it wasn't gonna look any different. It looks different and it looks really nice. And each of these spray paint cans cost $4. Okay, let's move on to tackling the seat part of this chair. So I know I don't want this pink fabric, so I think I'm just gonna start by taking it off and getting it down to like the flat, whatever's under here. I think it's wood, probably my guess. Holy moly, that's a lot of staples. Wait, do you see? Yeah, that's gonna be a lot to remove. Maybe I don't. Hold on. New game plan, potentially. Okay, so there's a couple of things that make this not quite as simple as just sewing a new seat cover and calling it a day. So I'll direct your attention to the before photos of the chair. If you'll notice, the bar that goes around the back of the chair is really low. It's not high enough that I could do a cushion the size of the CB2 one and still have that back piece, because the CB2 one looks like 5 inches. So if I made my seat that much higher, I would totally cover the back bar, and I think that would ruin the look. So I don't want to do that. But I also don't want to not make it that thick either. So what I think I'm gonna do is extend the seat actually below where the current seat is, so it's got a little bit of cushion to sit on, and then kind of like a false bottom that just makes it look really thick. And then the next part to that is the fact that there is that bar that runs through where the bottom of the seat is, so since I'm extending my bottom below that, that's kind of gonna get in the way, but I think we'll be okay. So how I've decided to do this and make it all work and make it all make sense is to do it out of 2 separate pieces of upholstery foam. So I have, ooh, this is a good, like, what's it called in film where you, a bounce? I should have just shot everything like this. Wow, what did I do? What did I buy? Okay. So I bought 2 pieces of foam, both the size of my circle. This one is a 2-inch piece of foam, and this one is a 3-inch piece of foam. This one's gonna go on the top so that we only make it 2 inches taller, and this one's gonna go underneath. So in total, it looks like that 5-inch seat. Cool. You with me? Oh, and both of these pieces of foam, which I got from our local fabric store, were $16.50 for both of them. So on my upholstery foam, I am just tracing the shape of that wooden base part of the chair with a Sharpie and then using a long X-Acto knife to cut it out. On my larger 3-inch piece, I'm marking out a strip for where the bar in the chair needs to go and cutting that out. I'm not cutting all the way through, I'm just kind of digging out like about 1 inch in depth to make basically a trench for where this bar will go. Giant vanilla Oreo has been assembled with the little hole through the middle where the like rod support thing bar of the chair is gonna go. Maybe it's looking questionable, but I see the vision. So let's move on to the better part of the vision, and that is what fabric I'm gonna cover this seat in. So I did my best to find something that matches the chair, because the chair I believe is made of like real shearling, which is a part of a sheep. I don't know too much, but obviously didn't want to do that, so opted for faux, which I believe this is just Sherpa. That's what all those teddy coats were made of that we were wearing for a hot minute, I think. Do we see it? I think this is a really good substitute. It's like a nice creamy white, and it's soft, and I love it for this project. And I got 1 yard of it. I think that's gonna be enough to cover this, and it cost me $23 for that yard. So what am I gonna do? So basically I'm gonna be making like a 3D cover for this, since this is like a 3D shape. So I'm gonna start by cutting out a circle for the top and then a large band that is the 5 inches to do all the way around the outside. Then on my sewing machine, I just sewed the 2 edges together to make this 3D circle shape. So we've got the top of the pillow here, and then the side piece that goes all the way around, and then I actually did a second one of that long strip. So there's the front cushion and then 2 long strips, and I did that because the second long strip is what's gonna form the bottom. It's what's gonna wrap underneath. This will all make sense in a second. So we've got the fabric sewn, the 2 foam cushions ready. My chair has been painted and is sort of assembled back together. Now it's time to put all of this on here, and then we're basically done. And check out how this piece fits perfectly here. I basically then just took the fabric and started pulling it down and around all of the foam and using some sewing pins to just tack it underneath and hold it in place. It's kind of a slow process to make sure that you have it pulled evenly around the whole thing, and I had to make some slight cuts in some of the sides of the fabric to make sure it could go over the things like the back rails and that rail that goes through the front. Once I was happy with how it looked pinned and tucked in all the right places, I flipped the chair over. So the original chair was stapled to the bottom with like a staple gun onto that piece of wood, but since I put foam on the bottom of mine, there's not a hard place to staple into. So I'm taking a scrap piece of hardboard and just tucking it under the fabric to create something that I can staple into. And speaking of stapling, in a perfect world, I would have for sure used a staple gun to do this, but my staple gun I just discovered is entirely out of staples, so moving on to the next best option, which is a nail gun. If you have the option to do a staple gun, I'd recommend it. It's better, it probably holds better, but we're using the nail gun for now. So I'm just nailing through the fabric into the hardboard to keep all of the fabric in place, and then I can take out any of the sewing pins because I don't want to leave those in there. And then that completes my chair makeover. I'm actually very happy with how this turned out. I think it's so cute, and I love seeing it styled in my house. It's so pretty. So while I don't think we did like an exact dupe, I can't tell which one is which, I think this really feels like it's in the same vein and style as the CB2 one, and I think it looks like something that you could buy from CB2, which is a win in my books. So let's add up how much this costs when I factor in like the price of the actual thrifted chair and all the materials I needed to make it over. It cost me $62.50 to do this, and if you remember, the original chair was like $1,300. So a little bit of a savings there, and I love how mine turned out. I think it's so cute. So I hope you enjoyed this chair DIY. I do these a lot. I've said this before, my 2 favorite things in life are chairs and lamps, so I could DIY both of those forever, over and over again. I think this was a successful, that goes how much, project.
Tackling those DIYs were really fun. I'm glad we could cross those off our list because I know we have both been like thinking about them for a little while now. So good work, team.
Yeah. And for you guys at home, make sure you click the link in our description and use code SORRYGIRLS to get an extra 30% off your first order with ThredUp.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.